Brandon's here today. We're talking oblique resets in a sequence that I like to go through with some of my clients to really take you from poor breathing patterns to improved ribcage position back to positional tolerance drills. So we're really focusing on three different things here, and the first exercise that we're going to show you is an actual breathing drill. Now this is one that we featured, well, we actually haven't posted it yet. I don't even really know when it's coming out, but I am assuming it's probably going to come out prior to this one, so it's probably there. But Brandon, go ahead and go forearm on the ground, hand behind your head. Now this is our thoracic rotation drill, but we're not really going to focus on the rotation aspects of improvement here. What we're going to be focusing on is opening up the obliques and breathing into those obliques. Go ahead and rotate here, Brandon. Now I really like to get a little downward pressure with that hand. Push hard into the ground, Brandon. I don't need Brandon straining super hard here, but what I want him doing is taking deep breaths through this set of obliques. I want him really breathing out kind of horizontally, cueing him to breathe outward here. He's probably not going to be able to take a full breath like he would normally sitting, but I really want him to establish some tissue movement through this area of his body. Now, assuming he did probably 5 to 10 breaths there, he probably saw some releasing of tension. We would have him do the other side, but for the sake of time in this video, we're gonna have him transition to the bench and go with your legs up on the bench here, Brandon, and back on the ground, kind of like a dead bug position. There we go. Now the reason we like this position is because I'm not really trying to get Brandon to work on his bracing here or anything. Now, but the next thing that we are going to work on is the position of his rib cage. This is where a lot of people mess up their bracing, as they don't have great connective tissue between the rib cage, meaning that it's like kind of tight and it doesn't really function that well when they breathe, and that usually leads to poor breathing and poor intra-abdominal pressure. So what we're going to do is we're going to just do a quick intercostal test, which is all that musculature. We'll just poke on it. Now, if somebody really had tight intercostals, this would probably really hurt. Brandon's pretty solid here. You don't have to press hard either. It's like light pressure is going to feel like a butter knife going through you. But say someone really struggled with their rib cage position. Maybe there was someone who had that kind of open scissor type squat, that where the rib cage opens up, pelvic goes forward. What we'd have Brandon do here now is a forced exhale drill. He's going to take a small breath and he's going to push all of his air out through pursed lips, so he has a little bit of resistance. Go ahead, Brandon. Push all of it out, all of it out. And it should take him like 10 seconds to do it. We want him to get all of his air out of his body. That's going to pull his rib cage down and change that position. And before he breathes back in, we're going to ask him to maintain that rib cage position. Go ahead and push all that air out again, Brandon, and don't let yourself change positions. That's really the point. As Brandon pushes air out, ribs come down. We're going to ask him to maintain that then, and then re-brace into that. And he just instinctively put his thumbs into his obliques to kind of cue him into that. So this would be step number 2. Good job, Brandon. Now, assuming we had a little bit of change there, we would probably spend a little bit more time there in a real-life scenario. We're going to actually go and challenge the obliques with what we refer to as positional tolerance drills. Go ahead here, Brandon. This is just one example of that. It happens to be one of my favorite oblique drills. We're going to take a shoulder rock. If you don't have a shoulder rock, you could use a barbell. A barbell would be really, really hard for this. You need something a little bit lighter. Maybe one of those smaller bars that have fixed weights on them in a commercial gym would work well. We're going to take a grip similar to what Brandon has here, and we're going to do a contralateral loaded dead bug. Go ahead, Brandon. Now what we're going to be working here is all of this oblique chain on this side. Now that we've really kind of reset his obliques, we've gone and done our breathing work, we did a little bit of positional improvement work with his rib cage, we are now going to challenge his strength tolerance of those obliques. Good, Brandon. Come down, come down. We're going to ask Brandon to go, continue going, go, 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 and pause there, own that position, and then come back up off tension. Go ahead and do one more here, Brandon. The reason we have Brandon on the bench is so that he doesn't have the ground as his limiting factor for how big of a range of motion he can use. Most people starting on the ground is perfectly fine, and you're not going to need a whole lot more from this drill, but Brandon's pretty strong and he can use a pretty big range of motion here. Now, this should be extremely hard. We should choose a weight or a grip position. Narrow grip position is going to be harder. That only allows Brandon to do like maybe 3 to 6 reps of this drill, because again, we are treating this as a strength drill after we did all of our other work. Brandon, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a very challenging drill. One thing that's very tempting, though, we have to keep a good track of where our lumbar stay in contact with the actual bench. It's very tempting to push load a little bit more, push for a deeper range of motion, and letting that lower back come off the bench, but that really destroys the benefit of this drill. So make sure we're keeping good contact with our lower back, and maybe even having somebody look at that specifically to make sure it's keeping good contact, so we get the most out of this drill, and there's the best carryover to our actual loaded movement.
Brandon's signing out.